Now that we have a working uploader, let's put it to use. We're going to create a gallery module. Then we're gonna have two components within, a list and a detail. We're also gonna create a service so we can connect to Firebase to get the images. Let's create the module and its component. Call it gallery and generate module gallery. Let's add it to the app module. Now let's create both components inside the gallery folder. So let gallery list and gallery detail. Now let's create a service and add it to the gallery module. I have my server running. Now let's upload some images so we can display it in the gallery list component. Now for us to use the uploader in our gallery, first we need to give the details for it. We're going to add it to the user's dashboard component, like the app dashboard, app post dashboard. And here we're going to set up the path, the meta, and the upload type. Now in the component.ts, here we had the previous one where we were playing around. So let's add a gallery in here. That's going to be under the user's ID. Let's just make a comment in here so we know what's the upload type boolean about. So we want a gallery collection. We're gonna set to true and okay. With this set, we can go ahead and start to upload the photos. So I went ahead and upload 6 images. Now we're gonna display it in our gallery list component. For that, let's create some routes so we can see it in the browser. First, we need to import the routes. Let's also import the shared module. And for the router module, we're going to pass it for children and call the routes that we're going to create in here now. Now let's create our routes. We'll take a path and here let's create a gallery. And the component will be gallery list. Now it's going to be the gallery detail, which we take an ID. And the component, it's the gallery detail. And here in our database, we have our gallery and all the images we uploaded in the file storage under users. We have our gallery folder in here with the images we uploaded. Everything works as intended. So now let's go ahead and start coding our gallery list. So in order for us to see what's going on, let's go to our routing module. We're going to create a route for the route, which is going to redirect it to the gallery component. Now let's add the path, which is empty for the route, and then a component. We're gonna add the gallery list. Let's close it. And here was imported gallery works. Now we can play around with it, and this is just temporary, just for us to test. Let's start to build our service so we can communicate with Firebase to collect those images. We're gonna need to import Firestore. So Angular Firestore and the collection. In the collection, we're going to add a gallery collection. And that's an Angular Firestore collection. Let's put any, as we don't have any module for our uploads. Now in the constructor, let's call for the Angular Firestore private AFS, and we're gonna need the authentication as well, so we can get the user UID of service. It was automatically imported. Let's create a function called getImages. Here we're gonna need the user UID, which is the this.auth.get current user ID. And the reason we are using the current user ID, not the authState.uid, is that the current user ID, we set some fallbacks to it, which is this one. In case there is no user authenticated, it will return null. If the user is authenticated, we check for the user ID and we return it. But if there is none, it's going to return null. So we're not going to have an error. Whereas if you only put the auth state and call for the user, and there is no user authenticated, our app will break. And that's why we created this current user ID. Let's take the gallery collection and link to a place in our database. We take the UID, and then it's going to be gallery. And this is where everything is going to be stored as a new collection under the user UID. Now we're going to return this gallery collection. We could call value changes in here. We saw this before. Like in the Angular Fire 2 GitHub page under Firestore and collections, we saw in here that this is how we can return the values from this from any collection and set it to an observable. In our case, we could use to display the data, but then we're also going to need later on to delete. So we need to target, and to do that we need its ID, and the value change won't give you the ID. It will give you the information, but it won't give you the ID. For that we need snapshot change. So value change returns the data but no ID. If you need to do anything with the data return, you need the snapshot change, and for this you need to map it. And let's start to console log things so we can see what's happening. Let's link in here so we can see the return. Back into our gallery list, let's call for that function in our upload service, this.getImage. We're gonna create this in here now, but we need the gallery service. Gallery service in there. So now we can create the getImage function here. And we're going to need a place to hold the information. So image is an observable any, and that's an array that's going to return. Will be more than one image. So in here, that image observable, we're going to make it equal to our gallery get images. That should do for now. We're going to fix this. We still need to create this function over there. Let's go ahead and start to create this function. So let's return actions map. Here let's just make a reference for it, and we're going to create some variables to store the data. Here we receive from that map, we can console log it. To see the result, let's console log this.images. Now we can see the result of what you're using in here. So we're going to create some variables to store the data. The payload will contain the doc, which will then have some data info in it. And the same we can do for the ID. And then we can just return this. Then we spread the data so we get all the information from within. So this is what is coming from our getImage function with the snapshot change. Let's create a quick nav bar here so we can navigate between our components. Let's go to our app component.html. So I've just pasted in here a list of buttons, user dashboard, the blog, a users list, and the gallery. Now I have that observable return when you go to gallery. Let's take a peek inside. You can do this .image, .subscribe, and here let's just console log the result. We got an empty array, but if you navigate away and then we come back, we got a list. And that's because the component data wasn't ready when the component was built. So let's use this array to display some data in our HTML. We're going to use the Angular material grid. And back into the Material Angular website, we're going to use the grid list. Let's just copy this basic example in here. And back into our app, let's just paste. We need to get the API imports. So in the API, let's just copy this and paste into our module. There. There should go away. Just remove these ones. Inside, we're going to display the image. And the source needs to be the Angular directive. Here we're gonna call for the image URL. Inside the out, let's give it the image name. And you're also gonna give it the router link. So when you click, you can navigate to its ID. We're gonna use the ng4. Now let's call for the image. Let image of images and give it the async pipe. So we also unsubscribe from our database when you move away from the component. Now if you load, nothing happens because we have the empty array. But if you navigate out and come back, we have the array, and now we have a nice list of images in here. If you click on it, we have an error. So let's fix that. If you click on the image, you get cannot match route. Cannot match any route. If you remember, we created an ID and a gallery detail. But in our component, we're not collecting any ID or giving it an ID to the route. So we need to fix that. In the next lesson, we're going to fix this error and create our detail page.